So, lads, today we're talking about this, and we're talking about this whole thing, and is it proof that the WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark? And I don't mean hate Caitlin Clark. Like, to be fair, I don't mean hate Caitlin Clark as hate Caitlin Clark person. I don't think any of them do. I don't think that's a thing. But just hate the entire idea. So, we're talking about all-star voting here, where the players voted Caitlin Clark as the 9th best player at her position in the WNBA.
So, it's official. WNBA players are either holding secret candlelight meetings in locker rooms to scheme against Caitlin Clark, or maybe she's simply too talented, too quick, and too unbothered for the league to handle. Buckle up, because we're about to wade through flying elbows, icy glares, and post-game interviews that feel ripped straight from a Mean Girls reboot. This isn't just basketball anymore. It's a high-drama soap opera laced up in sneakers. Time to decode the Caitlin Clark conspiracy.
The starters have been revealed today. You got Aaliyah Boston, shout out to AB, Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark, Nafisa Collier, Alicia Gray, Sabrina Ionescu, Aneka Ogwumike, Satu Sabali, Brianna Stewart, and Asia Wilson will be your 10 starters that Clark and Nafisa Collier get to choose from. And what everybody is talking about are the player rankings when it comes to the All-Star ballot.
Oh, there's no question they hate her. That debate's long dead and buried. At this point, it's practically the WNBA's favorite pastime. Watch them whenever Caitlin Clark gets the ball. They look like someone just told them their beloved childhood cartoon was canceled. The body language doesn't lie. Tight jaws, dagger side eyes, and elbows that seem programmed with Clark-specific GPS coordinates, zeroing in on her ribs every chance they get.
Caitlin Clark. In the WNBA All-Star voting, we now know who the 10 starters are going to be. And we also got a peel back the curtain reveal on what the other players in the league think of Caitlin Clark. This All-Star voting told us something, and it confirms exactly what we think. The other players in the league can't stand Caitlin Clark. I mean, it's baffling. I've seen some people trying to claim she shouldn't be in the game. She's tied for the league lead in assists, for crying.
Let's be real. Some of these veterans are out there playing like they're vying for a spot on Survivor. Elbow Island. Why? Because Caitlin Clark strutted into their league with a Nike contract, a personal camera crew, and a fan base bigger than half the franchises combined. And you can bet that burns.
Looking at the percentages here, let's compare Jackie Young to Natasha Cloud. Even with Caitlin Clark on her, the 56th in points per game. Caitlin Clark has more points this season than Jackie Young. Sorry, not Jackie Young, than Natasha Cloud. Caitlin Clark has more points this season than Natasha Cloud. Natasha Cloud, I'm not joking when I say this, has played, am I right in saying she's played 8 more games than Caitlin Clark? I think she's played 8 more games than Caitlin Clark. She has less points in 8 more games. She is 3rd in assists, in fairness. Alyssa Thomas is probably going to average above 10 assists.
These are players who spent years grinding it out in half-empty arenas, practically handing out tickets like club promoters just to fill seats. Then along comes one rookie who, in a single week, snags more primetime spotlight than they've seen in an entire decade. That's not just threatening. In the WNBA universe, that's downright insulting.
Your guys' opinion, do you feel like Caitlin Clark gets kind of targeted at some of these games, or it's just basketball?
Yeah, she get targeted just like Jordan got targeted.
It's a privilege. You're the best player.
The Jordan rules. They had the Jordan rules. When you're so good, yeah, you're going to get targeted. It just is what it is.
Absolutely.
Come on, man. You got to, when you at a disadvantage, I feel like, just like boxing or something. If you fighting against the best, you got to do something.
And the irony? She didn't even ask for it. Caitlin Clark didn't show up with a crown and a flamethrower demanding everyone bow down. She just started sinking logo threes and selling out arenas. Naturally, the response has been subtle, if you call borderline aggressive defense, swallowed whistles, and team strategies that look more like intimidation than basketball subtle. It's like every team got the same memo. Forget the scoreboard, just rattle the rookie. And here's the kicker. With all this attention, you'd think the WNBA would lean in, let fans enjoy their new star, maybe even protect her a bit. But no, the league looks at Caitlin Clark the way a cat looks at a cucumber. Wary, jumpy, and sure it's a threat. Just look at the all-star situation. Fever fans showed up in force. They voted for Clark for Collier. Probably would have voted for the team bus driver if they could. Clark didn't just leave fan votes. She crushed them. It was like a school election where one kid brings cupcakes and everyone else has pencils. Fans mobilized like it was a campaign rally, and Caitlin still barely made it in. Not because of how she's playing, but because the league just isn't ready for her to be the face. If you want, I can tighten it up even more or give it a cooler, almost detached tone. Want me to try that?
Sophie Cunningham said nobody likes us about the Indiana Fever, and the player voting returns for the WNBA All-Star game don't exactly dispel that notion, because Caitlin Clark received the most votes overall, a captain on the team alongside Nafisa Collier. Another starter, Aaliyah Boston, was right behind them in votes, yet both Clark and AB were ranked 9th by the players in guards and front.
And that Olympic team, that wasn't just a snub. It was a message. The WNBA's way of saying, we see you, but we'd rather not. Think about it. The player drawing record viewership and national buzz gets left off the roster like an extra in her own story. It's like rebooting a show and cutting the main character. The point was clear. Thanks for the spotlight, but don't get too comfortable. They'll blame experience. But if that's all it took, a raccoon in a lab coat could run the CDC. If it were about talent, she'd be there. If it were about popularity, she'd be the first pick. But if it's about protecting veteran egos, then suddenly she's not ready. Even Fever fans can't agree. Half are building Caitlin shrines. The other half are voting for anyone but her, like they're under some kind of reversed hypnosis. It's chaos.
She's averaging 18 points a game. I mean, she's in a 3-game shooting downturn. All right? A 3-game shooting slump. And other than that, in the injuries, it's been business as usual for most.
And somehow, it still worked. Why? Because Caitlin draws a tidal wave of attention wherever she goes, even if half the league wishes she'd ride it back to Iowa. If fans hadn't voted, Clark would be at home on All-Star Weekend with popcorn, wondering what happened. That's how deep the resistance runs. The league gatekeepers grip their clipboards so tight they're leaving marks. If it were up to them, Caitlin wouldn't be on billboards. She'd be buried in a 5-second clip between drills and layups. They say she's not WNBA ready. What they mean is she's not WNBA compliant. Nothing bothers them more than someone who refuses to beg to get in. Her whole presence challenges what the league thought it wanted. They wanted attention, but on their terms. Fans, but not the kind with loud opinions and trending tweets. Growth, but not growth that questions why things weren't working before she arrived.
WNBA All-Star starters have been announced, y'all. They've been announced. Y'all want to guess who not starting? Hey, listen, some people don't belong in certain conversations. Do y'all want to guess who's not an all-star starter, y'all? It's a snub that should have been a starter. I got a couple people that I think should have been starting, but we will get to.
Instead of celebrating the rookie pulling the WNBA into the spotlight, they've chosen silence, with bruises and borderline assault passed off as defense. It's insecure leadership at its finest, acting like the lead is booming while pushing its biggest draw into the corner like an unwanted guest. It's not just on the court. It's in press conferences, interviews, sideline chatter. Still, she stands there smiling, draining 30-footers like she's fueled by spite. That's the real problem. She doesn't just handle the hate, she thrives on it. Who's become buzz? Fouls become fuel. Cold shoulders turn into sold-out crowds. Every time someone tries to shut her down, she only stands out more, without saying a word. She's a reminder that the old ways aren't enough anymore, and that scares people hanging on for dear life. So here we are, watching a lead desperate to be seen somehow resent the one person everyone actually wants to watch. Caitlin Clark didn't create this chaos, but she's the center of it. Whether she's getting hacked mid-dribble or snubbed like a glitch, she's still the most talked about, watched, and argued over player in the game.
Talk about hatred, when we talk about jealousy, when we talk about pettiness, Caitlin Clark's name always pops up because that's what she receives on a daily basis. And for the players to vote her 9th in guards just lets you know how out of touch they are. And it's not because of her game is simply because of those three things that I mentioned. She was ranked first by the fans, which makes sense. She was ranked number 3 by the media, which kind of makes sense. Anywhere between the 1, 2, or 3rd, that's fine. And then she was ranked 9th by the players. And it's just so funny. 9th rated player.
How do you feel about the WNBA players bashing Caitlin Clark?
Okay, so I'm going to state some facts here and not opinions because this is a controversial topic for some crazy reason. The WNBA is a subsidized league. What it means subsidized means is that the NBA basically gives their money so the WNBA could exist because the WNBA does not produce any revenue.
They lose money, actually.
They lose money. Okay, so Caitlin Clark, a generational women's basketball player, finally comes around where people are like, oh my God, this girl is amazing. She gets drafted. She's putting up crazy numbers. She's entertaining. Ticket sales go up. Revenue goes up. She brings all this money to the league. Also, she turned down a contract in the Big Three, making millions of dollars to go make $75,000 a year in the WNBA.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you go on ESPN and all these things, and all these her peers in the